Cool. Dungeons and Dragons, Bronze Bombers. It's back. It's here, baby. You wanted it and you're getting it. The ratings are through the roof and the fans are throwing in the monies and the Substacks and the Patreon, so we gotta keep it going. So we're here. Welcome everyone to Dungeons and Dragons, the Bronze Bombers Adventures, the Bronzebers. We are back, and I actually want to take it back a little bit. So this is a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a weird thing, but bear with me, my Bronzebers. So Sneak, a few days ago, you went to the library, the Grand Library, with your buddies, with your friends. You all kind of did some good research on various topics, and you decided to learn a little more about the origins of the Knights of Solamnia, specifically the Knights of the Rose, correct? So Sneak, I'm going to paint out a little bit better what I shared then to you and actually go through the imagination of Sneak as he's reading these tomes and books of Venus Solamnis. So, in 1775, before the cataclysm, so this is thousands of years in the past, thousands, probably like 3,000-ish from you guys, the Urgothian Empire dominated. So this was a different empire than the Istarian one or other ones that you guys may have heard of. The Urgoth is where Darrett and Marshall Nestor are from. Venus Solamnis was a samurai that served this evil empire, but he was eventually convinced by the peoples of this world to betray the Urgothian Empire and lead a successful revolution to end its reign. So Sneak, maybe you see like kind of this cool long black-haired gentleman in like somewhat traditional samurai attire with swords out, facing an army of what look like really dark, like all black masked ninja looking people, honestly. They look very scary. And here I'll share a quick image of it. So something like this. So Venus Solamnis joined, he was wooed by the rebels and the normal people of the world. And he helped lead a revolution against the empire that he served. And ultimately they won. And from that moment, his life just kept being a bunch of moments of heroism and huge historical moments. The people after this moment pushed for him to become king of a new land that was founded called Solamnia in his name. And this happened in 1791 BC. And a lot of events happened, managing a kingdom, all that. He fell in love with one of the rebels that joined him in the war, and she became queen. She was a gnomish woman. Unfortunately, as the years went by, Venus gained many adversaries. One of them was an incredibly powerful vampire lord who was able to capture and kill his queen and beloved wife. Venus took it upon himself to train some of the strongest warriors that he knew, and they hunted down and killed this evil vampire lord. For his continued good deeds, even after all this tragedy, right, in his life, all this hardship, he was visited by Paladine himself. Paladine's the god of good. He's known as Bahamut in a lot of other worlds. But here on Kryn, he's known as Paladine. He's the platinum dragon of good and justice, and basically kind of created a lot of the gods of good that you all know. So Paladine came to Venus and urged him to form an order of knights that would combat evil throughout Kryn and live with honor, that would exemplify Venus Solamnis's his role model. And of course, the organization was known as the Knights of Solamnia, named after him. And with the assistance of other gods of good, Paladine was the main one, but there was also Habakkuk, and then there was also Kiri Jolith, the giant, bison-headed god of righteous war. And I won't go too into depth into that part, but you find out in your reading, Sneak, that this is kind of the ending of Venus Solamnis's life, is what you're reading about here. And he's laying at his deathbed, basically. And a lot of the people that love him, are around him. He's way older, super white hair at this point, very long white hair, old king, over 100 years old at this point, and the leader of the Knights of Solamnia. The different orders have been founded, the Knights of the Crown and the Knights of the Sword, but they still hadn't named and really specialized the final order of the Knights. So Paladine, kind of disguised as a human male. He kind of looks like Gandalf-ish. Vibes, white beard, green hat, kind of goofy green wizard hat. He's kind of in this human form, comes to Venus Solemnis on his deathbed. And he says to him, kind of holding his hand, and this is way back in time, right? So, what shall thou call this order we have so carefully developed? Mind warrior of light, mind king. And then Venus Solemnis looks up at him, and with like a trembling, kind of sickly voice, eyes, that have seen so much, he looks up at Paladine and says, names, yes. And he's kind of like coughing in between all his speech. The people of this world do love their names. And then he kind of like trails off and is looking around at like nothing, but kind of looking up. And then he says, my queen, my light, my rose. And he's clutching a rose that he's holding close to his chest. None love life, people, plants, and the beings of these lands more than she. The gardens she helped establish brought communities together in love of the land. This order will follow in her example. No true wisdom or sense of justice can exist without a foundation of love. Love of life itself. Love of good. These knights will carry this love of the world and all its beauties and protect it with their thorns. Justice, these leaders. And then he turns to Paladine and looks at him, will be known as the Knights of the Rose. And then Paladine, kind of teary-eyed, glossy-eyed, looks at him, this old wizard-looking person, and yes, other warriors and soldiers and people are around and kind of crying as well, seeing this great king come to an end. Paladine answers immediately, then thou shalt be the first knighted into this order. 3 souls shall knight thee, a representative of the people, a knight of the crown, and a knight of the sword. Come in, warriors. Let us knight your king Venus Solemnis as the first knight of the rose. And if the ceremony occurs, very similar to what happened to Marshal Nestra, right? She had different representatives from each of the orders, as well as someone who represents the people, knight them, and that's how you become a Knight of the Rose. And Venus Solemnis was the first Knight of the Rose. He looked up at the ceiling, holding a beautiful red rose in his hands, and passed away peacefully with a smile on his face. And he died in 1820 before the Cataclysm, and that is when the Knights of Solamnia officially formed fully, including the Knights of the Rose. So I just wanted to add a little more context. Here's a cool little image of maybe something of what that looked like. Venus Solemnis, the first Knight of Solamnia, and then the first Knight of the Rose. Cool. So that's the end of that vignette.
Pretty neat.
Hope you all enjoyed it. I wanted to add a little deeper context to your research, kind of bring it to life a little more than just words and stuff. Perfect. So let's get back into our recap then. What happened last session? So I see a scene of, excited soldiers in blue and silver armor, right? Just cheering, just, whatever, slamming mutton or exactly. Slamming some beers together, some ales, as they recap the events that unfolded. So Humruruth is kind of in his Michael B. Jordan form, right? Green, glistening eyes is the main distinction from Michael B. Jordan. His eyes are like almost like piercing green into your soul. There's something magical about his eyes. They're not just green. And he's got that nice kind of armor, simple armor with green embroidered at the recommendation of Sneak so many sessions ago. A random soldier's like, we charged in too far. And then he kind of like whispers to like the people that are around, at the behests of our Lord Bakaris. And we were ambushed by the Red Dragon army themselves, rushing us down on their horses, taking us down. And you kind of hear some groans like, But then, dare at high water, and then you hear some cheers like, stood strong, letting some of us escape as he faced the armies on his own. And then he looks at the bronze bombers, and then they came, and he looks at all of you, and they rushed in on their horses. One of them, I think, fell on the battlefield. The poor Ponyta, who fought bravely and valiantly, was burned to a crisp by the Red Dragon E-Shark. But I get ahead of myself. And this is like some, I don't know, dark-skinned elf with a giant black beard. And then another guy like kind of jumps in and is like,
yeah, they were super cool. I like saw that all there and I thought it was fucked. But they came in and I was like, oh shit, I don't know who they are, but let's see what they got.
And then, yeah, you guys jumped in. I remember.
I do say it was quite convenient of them. I swear I thought we were done for. And then all of a sudden they jumped on stingers. It was wild. So appropriate. It was amazing.
I thought it was called beetles or something, but I guess I'm British now. Yeah, I remember the little one jumping on when the dragon came out and just going and shooting it, and I was like, holy shit, but then I ran. I'm not gonna lie, I ran after that still. And then the other one said, yeah, actually, you, Lyx, is it? And this is a minotaur, actually. You were eaten. I think I saw you get eaten by Ishak the Devourer, as he said, and General Griel, who stormed in and burned their own men and women as punishment for falling to you all. And then Humruth kind of like looks proudly at all of you. He has his like hands like crossed as he's smiling, and he says, I expect nothing less from my bronze bombers. And he kind of takes like a big bite out of the mutton. But yeah, there was, some people sharing how you guys kind of wiped the floor with those first soldiers, but then Ishark shows up, Lyx is eaten.
Yeah, I got swallowed up. It was pretty disgusting in there, though not as disgusting. I don't know. It was kind of cool. Like, I like dragons. You see, I got some scales. It was interesting.
Everyone's kind of like at that. They're like, oh, as like some people like maybe didn't notice, like, oh. And then the same like British guy, I guess, that was talking with Colton's character is like,
how'd you get out?
Honestly, I think I must have tasted bad because he spit me out.
You used Palpatine lightning. You're not gonna tell him that? That is what you did. You don't have to tell him that, but that's the recap there. So yeah, Lyx inside, zaps Ishark from the inside, spits him out. Of course, Sneak and Derek kind of have their kerfuffle before this moment because Lord Bakaris the Junior, the younger, Jesus, not the lesser, the younger was missing. But obviously, Derek doesn't bring that up in this celebratory moment. But yeah, so you all follow Ishark, who flies away after eating Lyx and wanted to hunt down Lord Bakaris Sr.
I grappled onto the thing. I shot up at it and I followed it off into the wilderness.
Yep. So you guys kind of fight it a little bit after Lyx spits it out. You throw a lightning bolt to like explode it a little bit with the kegs. Some spells are thrown, some shit is thrown, and then ultimately you guys are like, fuck, we gotta get out of here. And I think Lyx, you cast Tasha's Mind Whip something, and that basically forces the opponent that you hit with it to have to either move, do an action, or do a bonus action. And Ishark was so mindfucked that he's like, this isn't worth it, and like goes away from you all. And that is when Sneak goes in with the grappling hook, and the soldiers kind of like chime in and they're like, oh, what'd you do then? What'd you do after that?
Just held on like hell, brother.
And Darrett's like, and he held on strong. And Sneak, he came too. He came too and helped save Lord Bakaris. We fought the dragon together, back to back. But, well, and then he actually gets quiet and is kind of looking at you to see if you're going to say it, that you got eaten as well.
Yeah, I got munched. I got munched and it hurt. It made me sick. I threw up a lot. It happened.
Oh.
All right? I'm not afraid to admit it.
And then Humruith looks, so the littlest among us eaten by a powerful red dragon, and he takes another bite out of the mutton. How epic is that? And they live to tell the tale, and not only do they live, they slayed the damn beast. Tell us, Bronze Bombers, how did you kill this Ishark and this General Griel?
I think at that, Melvin's gonna, like, with it, get excited. Like, why not? Get a quick strum,
Oh, okay.
Strum. I think I'm gonna bring back an old banger. So, Humaruth the Valiant, and Melvin hasn't gotten to play this in a minute, so it's, like, pretty campfire style.
Errol, sorry, you should do this. But you guys did kill Ishark alone, without Humruth. You guys killed Ishark first. Okay, so you're still gonna sing about Humruth?
Well, it's just, there's
I don't know if I'm misunderstanding what you're trying to do.
There's a new line. There's a new line to Humaruth the Valley.
Okay, yeah, because remember, it was you guys kill Ishark, you carve him up, and then you're ambushed by more forces and more red dragons, and that's when Humruth and General Rodan and all them show up to help. Okay, go ahead, Errol. Do what you want to do.
So basically, just to remind everyone, adventurers on a quest to find a dragon of the best. Bronze and just he stands tall, guiding them through every squall. Humaruth the Valiant. With courage in their hearts, they journeyed through the parts of the land of the dragons where the sky meets the sea. Humaruth the Valiant. And when they find him, the dragon of bronze, their spirits soared high, for they knew they had an ally in the sky. With Humaruth the Valiant. And Melvin gets really kind of cool and emphasized. And this time they defeated a wicked, awful beast, Ishak the Devourer. He couldn't have been more fouler. A fat old fox. He tried to eat, and once he did, he licked, he ate. And on they fought from the outside and from the outside and the inside, not for aught. They sliced and they diced, but they nary feared because they had. I didn't have quite something that stands up, but the next one was, "'Twas the first to die in ages, and they picked clean his teeth, chopped him up and bagged him up and sold him to the Thor. The bronze bombers and Humaruth the Valiant. So let us raise the toast to the dragon of bronze, champions of justice of his valor we shall boast, for Humaruth the Valiant and the bronze bombers."
And then Humaruth goes, "And the Bronze Bombers!" Like following up that amazing performance as the crowd is like cheering, and you get an inspiration for that, Errol. Come on. You get an inspiration for that. Thank you for that. That is awesome. Yeah, you guys defeated Ishark the Devourer. Yes, so a female soldier is like, "Yes, the Bronze Bombers in Humaruth really did help save the day. But General Radon, you also came to our rescue. Thank you, good General." And he's kind of like smiling and looks peaceful-ish for once in his life. And he's like, "Only at the behests of Lyx's new friends and allies in the Finn Mascar tribe. So once again, the little Sandbottom spoke up at the right time." And he looks at all of you and he says, "You Voglins really are something special, something mighty in such a small town. Perhaps you will be what causes the tides of change that we require." And yeah, he doesn't brag about his soldiers or anything really. He just kind of appreciates all of you. And then Humaru's like, "But let's not forget that I came in with an epic strike of lightning." And like as he does that, like the storm clouds above kind of move around again. "With my mighty blast, by Humaruth the Valiant." And he's like kind of looking as the fire shines in his face. This is Michael B. Jordan, not sounding like Michael B. Jordan at all, pretty much just looking like him. "Struck down one of these foul demons, these traitors. And then once again, me and the glorious Bronze Bombers flew into the sky and blew those dragonelles and the red dragons that were brave enough to stay out of our faces." But he does look at all of you and he says, yeah, he is kind of feeling it. He's been chugging lots of flagons. "I must know though, my final strike on these fell creatures was my lightning breath. Who delivered the final mighty blow on Ishak?"
I did.
And everyone kind of steps back. I want to say that people kind of looked at Sneak maybe, kind of looked at Willow. They looked at Willow. Willow, I didn't forget about you. They look at the people that look more, like warriors. They didn't look at you, Melvin. Sorry.
I
Melvin
threw up
says,
the
"Oh,
whole
good, they
time.
didn't look at me." Oh.
Everyone is shocked by that, including Humaruth. "Lyx, really? How'd you do it?"
Well,
And you hear in your head kind of the knocking again, but you don't have to answer.
how does it feel? What kind of energy is behind the door right now?
Pride. Yeah, you can feel the emotions. Pride and malice.
I'll open the door.
"I'm just here to listen.
Oh.
Tell them how we ate the Devourer. We consumed his very essence."
Is it a possibility that I could do a demonstration of a spell?
Maybe. How are you going to do this?
So vampiric touch,
Okay.
I could do. It's a verbal and somatic spell, so I feel like I could do the verbal and somatic part, and then the black dragon would kind of start to peer out.
Oh, shit.
But I wouldn't want to cast it, obviously.
Yeah.
But I just like a little bit of a flex.
Okay. So what does it look like? You do it. I'll give it to you.
So it looks like ven al cielo al porvenir, extrae el humo, blah blah blah. But then from my nostrils and from my eye sockets, there's this like black smoke that comes out, and maybe it just looks like claws, like a beckoning claw reaching out, maybe toward someone who's a few feet away. They back up scared, but then it just kind of goes back to me. And then this is all like 4 seconds. Like I don't want anybody to be scared.
Yeah.
And then it all sucks back in.
But I think people still feel everyone do an arcane check actually. All of you do an arcane check. I'm gonna do some for some of my characters. Oh shit. So random soldier actually like kind of is entranced by this Lyx and gets too close. And then for a second they're like, ah, as like it like latches onto them. Ah, and he takes a little bit of damage. He rolled a natural 1 in his arcane check. He's like, ah, I'm okay. And then like everyone looks like alarmed and like actually some people kind of go to their sword, their weapons. Yeah, Melvin, you just feel Crake for once. So the heavy burden of Crake strikes you for like a second or two. You feel this being of immense power. You feel a being drawing you to another plane of existence, and you feel unending hate, suffering, anger, all this in a second as you see Crake's face flash in front of your eyes for a second. Sneak and Willow, you definitely are like, I don't know what you're thinking, but you feel, and you guys can all share what you're thinking if you want or say something, but you definitely feel a heavy presence when Lyx does this, but you still can't like, there's not much more to that. It just feels like a little heavier all of a sudden. Lyx explains this like epic moment. A lot of people are like, the fuck?
What? Y'all don't want to look at it? You want it when it works for you?
And then General Rodan says, Lyx, you are clearly a black robe. We are none to judge the arts of tides we do not understand, my soldiers of Calaman. This is a hero, all of them are, who slayed dragons we thought were impossible to kill. Does anyone else say anything?
I think Melvin's gonna like, especially when he has this kind of like planar flash, like when Gandalf and like everyone kind of sees the flash of Sauron. Like that's
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
of
That's exactly what I was trying to do it. Like, yes.
so I think that really takes Melvin aback, and he actually looks at Lyx. Just there's a real like sense of compassion. Words don't even really describe, but for the like first heaviness, and it's something that's so different from Melvin's relationship with Melodia. It's something so this feels a transgression immediately. This feels like a boundary that has been crossed and gates that are open, closed, hanging on by a thread. We're not exactly sure, and Melvin is scared for Lyx. That's what he's sort of thinking, and kind of the only thing he's able to say is that wacky tobacco from earlier sure got me. He says, kind of lying.
And Humruruth looks at you pretty seriously, like kind of arms crossed, kind of like pondering a little bit. It looks like he's thinking about something. He kind of looks at the person that like got the nat 1 and like reached out too far, and just to make sure they're okay. And it seems like they are. And then he starts walking toward you, saying nothing. Do you do anything, or does anyone say anything or do anything?
Definitely,
He's just
I
walking.
think.
Oh, go ahead.
He's walking calmly at you, toward you.
Calmly. Well, yeah. Melvin's still got eyes on it. Just like, huh.
Yeah, I will say that when everybody reacted to what Lyx did, Willow just instinctually like went to also pull out her axe. Like she does not play when anybody starts throwing any aggression to the Bronzeburs. So I think she's starting to relax back down now that it seems like it's diffusing, but she's still pretty much at the ready. She's kind of
you noticed when General Rodan spoke up, like everyone immediately put their weapons back, and no one like actually took a weapon. I was more like going for the hilts of their swords. Yeah, and
she's nearby.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and Humruruth is walking toward you, Lyx, and the fire is glistening. It's dark, right? This is nighttime. This is still the same day as the battle.
Well, I would say that, I mean, I'm what, like 3 feet tall? So I'm holding his gaze, looking up at him. Like, but I don't feel threatened at this moment.
Yeah, he crouches super low, like basically doing a sumo squat or whatever the hell it's called. You know, his knees almost in line with his head. That's how low he's crouching to look at you. And he says to you, or he kind of looks at you silently, like analyzing you for a little bit. Maybe looking at your scales. You could tell he's kind of noticing some of the scales.
Can I insight check him?
Yeah,
like,
go
can I
ahead.
like kind
Do
of get
it.
a sense of what he's doing?
Yeah. Do it.
Probably not that good. I got a 10 plus.
Yeah, you just whatever I just
Yeah,
said.
12.
Basically, a pondering yet stern face is what you see.
Okay.
And then he says, "So you use this power to finish off Ishar."
Yeah.
And then he looks at everyone kind of briefly and says, "That's pretty fucking cool. I mean, that's what the black robes do, people. I mean, are you all that ignorant on the black robe culture and the new Atari stuff? And come on, this is kind of new Atari's thing is, ooh, dark magic, wah." And he lifts you up and he puts you on his shoulder. He's like, "Cheers for Lyx Sandbottom, who led the charge against Ishak the Devourer. For Lyx, 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 Lyx." So totally not trying to.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, he had no ill will at all toward what you just did. He's just kind of
Cool.
saying like, "What's wrong with you all? You don't know anything about the black robes, basically, and black robe magic." And to be fair, the Calamani, especially these younger soldiers and stuff, they don't know shit about them, really. Well, that was a fantastic recap. Sorry, I don't want to cut it. Keep going. Yeah, keep the scene alive if you want to. Go ahead.
I just had this idea for a soldier who's kind of like in the background, just
Sure.
big burly looking dude, just going, "Man, I'm really glad they're talking about all this. I got knocked out in the first like 2 seconds and I just came to and there were just bodies everywhere. I had no idea what happened."
Nice. This is our like Peregrine Took. This is our fucking what's his name? Yeah, Peregrine Took. I forget what's his like basic name. Little Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, fucking just gets knocked out and survives the worst battles in history. That's amazing. Yeah, and then like I guess same British guy is like,
Oh yeah, Charlie, you was at it, wasn't you? I thought you was fucked, mate. It's a good thing we found you, huh?
Yeah, thanks. I don't know where I would have gone.
Probably abandoned in the middle of a battlefield.
I could walk my way back.
That's true. You do got some big old legs.
yeah. So that's this is our recap, and I guess like the final part of the recap would be like maybe a little more drinking happens, a little more goofiness, and then maybe like the Darrett sneak follow up happens where they're a little calmer, but Darrett's still kind of confused as to why he should care about the Bacarises, and Sneak's more like it's all about keeping Vogler together, I think, if I'm paraphrasing you correctly, Sneak. And that's when Willow, Darrett go walk together and talk. And then we ended the session on that, Willow, on you talking with Darrett and just kind of like talking about how he's still consumed by fear and he's still very young and he shouldn't set himself, he shouldn't set the expectation that he has to be the next Ispin or Becklin or whomever, that he still can work on himself and work on his demons, basically. Sneak, you kind
That
of
scene was so precious.
Yeah, and Sneak, you kind of yelled something similar at Darrett as he was walking away, like he has to kill his fear, basically. He has to let go of his fear. And I would say that like that ended nicely. It ended in a good hug. And Darrett, thanks you and says he's feeling better, but he just wants to he gets out a journal actually. He's like, "You're right. I'm not Ispin or Becklin. I'm me. And well, I like history. I'm gonna write about today." And then he's just kind of like hanging out under the stars at the top of this like fort wall and starts writing down the events of today. He says, "Maybe if you all figure out a name for this battle, come back to me with that and I'll write that down. We should give this battle a good name." So that's something you all can think about and maybe improv now as the festivities go on. But as you had this conversation with Darrett, Willow, this is when Humruruth gives his big news.
Real quick, I have a name, bro. How about the
Okay.
slewing of Ishark? The battle's called the slewing of Ishark. Like we slewed him. Is that the proper word to use? The slew?
I don't know if slew is a word, but it sounds fun.
The slaughter of Ishark, dude.
Bakaris's blunder. That's
That's mostly a joke.
Yeah.
I just thought of it and I had to share that with you guys. I'm not actually suggesting that. We're trying to build friendships.
No, that's
But it's
good.
fun.
The battle of Bakaris's blunder. I mean, it
Lots of
rolls off the
alliteration.
tongue.
Yeah. Oh man, that's hilarious. Well, as you all think about that, and maybe
Yeah, we'll go back to that.
Yeah, Humruruth delivers his news, which isn't really news for the most part. It's just you all give him more news, really, because he's just like, "I think there's dragon armies," and then you're all like, Yeah, we know. We were, Bogler was destroyed by this one. And he didn't know about Lord Soth. He didn't know about any of that shit. He didn't know about the Morning Flame being taken. And then we actually ended on a very interesting note where he does give one piece of news saying that he's heard word that the 5 ancient metallic dragon elders are alive and that they might have more knowledge on what happened to those eggs being these old ancient dragon beings. And then Lyx, you guess that one of them might have been Hooks Mishroth. And we ended on Humruruth saying, please don't ever say that name again. And he actually looks very serious.
I'm always getting into trouble, apparently.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. I love that we had a cool little scene there in our recap that was organic. But that's where we are. Now we're actually in the session, but I hope you all enjoyed that kind of role-play-y involved recap. I thought it'd be kind of an interesting way to bring it all back together. And we haven't played in a while, so kind of get the juices going. But this is where we are. The night is full. The 3 moons of Kryn, the red moon of Lunatari, the white moon of Solinari, and the black moon, which you can't see, but you see a starless space. They are all up in the sky as people are still celebrating. Some people are going to sleep. Humruruth and the Bronze Birds are here. Willow, I'll say that at this point you probably make your way back. You kind of see another weird moment here with Lyx and Humruruth, except maybe it's serious. What do you guys do? This is where we are.
Well, Ruth.
Yes.
I've noticed that the Istarian Dragon Bard, you know who, seems to upset a lot of the dragon kind. And in fact, we had a...
And he inside check all of you. All of you do an inside check because the emotions are real. Oh shit. Yeah, so Sneak and Willow, especially Willow, you see that he looks at Melvin again with this intense stare. He just has never looked, besides when facing Soth, he's never looked this intense really. And his hand is trembling, like you can see his hand trembling at his side, kind of like Arthur meme, but more menacing.
I think Melvin's gonna reach his hand really gently. And
you're gonna touch Humruruth?
I am, yes.
He accepts your hand, but you can feel the tension in it and the trembling of it. With the 20, I will say it is anger, actually, Willow. It is anger, but it looks like frustration, anger, and maybe with your 20, I'll tell you a little sadness. Kind of see something desperate there.
I think reading that from
Onita 15.
Looking at him, she'll just walk up and be around, not in any threatening way, just to be physically there.
What do you do? So, Melvin, you grab his hand. Willow comes up. What are you trying to do, Melvin?
Maybe just stay that anger. Didn't really mean to piss him off, but I think he's going to kind of know. Yeah, I don't know. The spirit keys master. I don't know.
You're just saying these things that she seems to piss people off and she's the spirit keys master. And he looks at you and he says, do you think I don't know these things?
No, I just can't understand why she's so reviled.
And then he says, every great hero gains a multitude of adversity. Now, if we could please move on, I would appreciate it.
Yeah.
So yeah, with your insight, unfortunately, you kind of read the basics, but Willow and Sneak, there's something there, especially now hearing the words that he just said, right? You know it was anger, but it seems like it's more of this sadness and despair and frustration. And it's not so much anger at Melvin, right? It's something he looks contemplative. Humruruth. Does anyone do or say anything here?
What else do you want to talk about?
I'm so glad you asked, Lyx. And his tone kind of changes right away. He says, well, I still have no leads on Big Scallion and only a little bit on the metallic dragons as I shared. But I must know as the Bronze Bombers, as my close confidants and allies, you all know my quest. What are your quests? How can I potentially help you all? At least with information or, I don't know, a pat on the back. And he looks at you all very seriously and wants to know each of your personal quests. What is your quest? As he calls it. So this is actually important. What do you guys see as your personal quests as Sneakdelings, quests as Melvins. You guys have some big ones, right? Some group ones. Some of them are in the Roll20 that I've kind of laid out with the, Reclaim Vogler, right? That's a huge one. Humruruth stuff if you want to help him with that. Yeah.
If I could be honest, Harumaruth, I would like to take over the Knights of the Rose. I mean, become the head of the Knights of the Rose, allow me to find out more information, even deeper. I mean, even if I'm like second, if maybe like it's a two-person job to be ahead of the Rose or something, like maybe I'll be the second person. But yeah, that's one. That's what I'd like to do. I want to be a big old rosy boy, dude.
He says, well, are you a Knight of Solamnia? That's the first step.
I think in my mind.
What? And then he actually starts laughing. He's like, oh. And then he says, I'm almost 100% sure you got to be a Knight of Solamnia, which isn't that hard. You just got to go to another knight and be like, hey, can I be your squire? And there you go.
I don't want to be a squire. I have to think about it.
That sounds lame
who's
as
a
fuck.
knight?
Who?
Your frenemy.
Oh, okay.
And then Humruth agrees with you. He's like, Squire does sound lame as fuck, but I think that is the start, buddy. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm not a knight, but that's their path.
Oh, you know what? I actually have another goal. I think I'd like to sell
Let me
myself
hear
to
it, and
Satan
then
and become a Dark Lord, and then maybe have people like sacrifice their firstborn children to me. That's what I want to do. That's the real goal.
And his eyes like go like really wide open at that, and he's like, that one would be a little harder to do. Actually, no, not really. Just go find some cult members. Tell them like, hey, I'm ready to sell my soul.
No.
And
They
see
have
where
to
it
sell
goes
their
from
soul to
there.
me. Yeah, I have to ask them, be like,
Oh.
hey, do you want to sell your soul to me?
Okay,
That's, I
you-
think, how maybe I
You
should
need
do
to become a demon then. You got to travel into the hells.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right, heard. All right.
He's like, glad I could help. All right, who's next?
Well, Humaruth, you see the scales, right?
I do see them, yes.
And you also saw the power.
Indeed, and I felt it.
So scales plus power equals another late great. I'm sure you've heard of Crakanthrox.
Yes, I have. Shadow Spreader.
He's kind of my dad.
What? Didn't he die thousands of years ago?
Well, he's not really my dad, but we're somehow tethered to one another, and I don't know why.
Oh, so what's your quest?
Well, to figure out how I became this. And I mean, ultimately, I just want to protect Voglins and kind of have a bit of a revenge arc on the Red Dragon army. But along the way, I'd like to know why I am what I am.
I see. That is important. To know oneself is key to peace. But you have conflicting goals. You wish to know yourself, but you also wish to destroy and bring your vengeance and righteous wrath upon your enemies, as you did today.
Destruction is what creates the space for new life.
You're sounding like follower of Takesis with words like that, my dear Lyx. That is what they believe, to burn down in order to regrow.
I guess I would say that the purist mindset is not really helping us get anywhere. Maybe we need a couple ideas from all the places.
He's like, well, you have a friend who wants to become Satan, and you want to figure out what's going on with your inner Satan. So it seems like you have a variety of ideas out here.
Yeah.
So, Lyx, you want to discover your tether, discover what it is, how it happened, and protect/get revenge. So protect Vogler/get revenge.
Yeah.
And then he says, revenge is sweet. It does feel good. But if you let it consume you, little Lyx, it will only lead to heartbreak and pain, possibly to those you love, and not just yourself. I've seen it rip up amazing heroes and turn them into monsters.
I'll think on that.
And he says, what do you want to do when you discover this tether? What do you know what next steps you might take after that? Why
Well-
you are what you are?
Well, I have to share my body with an ancient black dragon who is filled with just the worst kind of feelings. So I guess I'd like to know, can I separate the tether? Do I survive that? And then do I still have any sort of tidal power left after that?
The tide is within all of us. How well we can control it and how well we can utilize it is up to the user. And he kind of leaves you at that. And then he kind of looks at Willow actually shuffling away. And he's like, Willow, come on, get over here. Come on, come on. And he kind of like gives you some ale. He offers you ale if you want any.
I'll accept
Do you
it.
take it? Okay.
Yeah.
Same question.
Yeah, I haven't really been thinking about like specific plans for a while. I mean, obviously, with everything we've been through, it feels like it's been, I don't know, over a year, but it's only really been a few weeks of all of this crazy instant stuff.
I think a couple months actually at this point.
Okay, couple
Yeah.
months. Yeah, I don't really have a solid goal. I just try to be there for the people who can't defend themselves and leave places better than I found them. So I guess in the long term, one of my goals is to help my friends get their home back. Vogler was home for these people, and I kind of came in later, and I liked it, but it wasn't quite home for me. But I'd like to get that back for my friends, and
And he kind
I
of
don't
like,
know
he
the
actually
way.
like wipes a tear away. He's like, how noble. And he kind of like flicks his tear away and says, what drives that within you?
I
Why do
wasn't
you?
supposed to be here. I died. I was sent back for a reason. I've got to figure out what that reason is.
I see.
Also,
Ass-
apparently, I'm a celestial something. I've got to figure that out too, but that's like a side issue.
What? Wait, this isn't a joke? This
Did you
isn't...
not remember the wings earlier?
I
don't really know what
did.
they're from, but
I
they're
assumed
mine.
you were part bird person or something.
No, no, that doesn't seem like the descriptions I've found. I'm called in.
And then he kind of like actually starts like circling around you and like is like, oh, they're gone. Huh. Interesting.
I can only do it once a day, and I already used it, battle important stuff. Yeah, we can figure this out tomorrow. Yeah, I've done limited research in Calaman, and yeah, apparently I'm an ASMR or something.
Ooh, let me roll
My
on that.
parents were human, but I knew I was adopted, so
Oh shit. Oh fuck, this is big. I rolled a natural 20. Okay, when you said ASMR. Oh shit. Okay, let's take a break.
okay.
We're gonna follow up with Willow and then Melvin because I need to think about this. I need to think about this for a second because this is crazy. I got a natural 20. Fuck with ASMR. Fuck. Fuck this game. No, I'm
Keep
just
keep
kidding.
riding with Willow. I'm trying to hear all of the tea. I'm trying to hear all of the tea. I have no tea until that tea has been drank to the pod.
Oh
I
fuck.
like to believe that Willow isn't even noticing that he's like thinking, and she's just going on and on about her parents right
Okay.
now
Cool.
while he's
Oh my
processing
God.
whatever he's processing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and maybe others like see that he's like, that face when you're like remembering something crazy. That's what's happening to Ruth right now. And he's kind of like grabbing his temple and he's like kind of like looking out at nothing as he's remembering something crazy.
Yeah, as perceptive as she is, she hasn't been able to talk about her family in a while, so she's just like going off on that tangent and just like completely ignoring everything that's happening. She's just like, yeah, no, they were wonderful people. They were older. They couldn't have their own kids, so they adopted me. I always knew I was adopted, but they were wonderful, and just continuing on and on.
Yeah. So and Ruth looks crazy, and let's take a 10-minute break, and we will follow up from there. So break, because I need to think a little bit about this. This is actually surprisingly insane. Okay, fuck. Shit. All right, break. And Colton's recording, which is great. Okay, shit. All right. So, Willow, you were kind of just actually telling a lot of your life story again, right? Talking about your adoptive parents. You couldn't remember your biological parents, maybe like glimpses, right? Because you were a baby. Yeah, just your kind of older parents, right? Think they're humans?
Yes.
It can be whatever you want. Okay.
They were humans. I had no reason to believe I wasn't a human. Dan and Kiki raised me for everything I remember. They were wonderful, loving, died of old age. Nothing particularly special there. Just, the way you'd want to go.
Right.
As she's explaining to Ruth, who is still probably glazed over at this point.
Yeah, and then he starts speaking, and he kind of looks like he's having a moment of PTSD as he's like, ASMR, winged humanoid, not Aarakocra, not that, like her, like, and then he says this name very clearly, like, and then he looks like he's remembering, like, the knight, the great hero, Ordelia, Soth, like her, and then he looks like he's grabbing his head again, all of them marching to the capital. To the god priest with Mama. I'm brave. No, I'm brave. I'm brave, Mom. I'll protect them. And then he starts looking around like kind of desperate breathing as he sounds more reptilian. He's like, no, Ordelia will save them. And Lidara and Xanis and Jandin. And then he looks at you, Sneak. Jandin, Deling. And he's like, how did I not realize? And he looks like his heart is beating out of his chest, as it looks like his heart is back to dragon size inside of Michael B. Jordan's body, as he said all these names: Lidara, Xanis, and then Jandin Deling, and looks at Sneak when he says that, making the realization, I, Binks, Scallion, Solaria, couldn't... and the ground starts shaking around him as thunder starts to sound above. And everyone's like, people are all of a sudden getting alert. And he rises into the air, transforms into his dragon form, wings out, gusts going from his wings, flying out, going past the flames and pushing them around a bit. And he screams in a giant roar. I couldn't protect that! And he starts flying furiously upwards and says, I can't waste time. My quest, Pink Scallion, the eggs, I can't waste more time! And he starts flying furiously away from you all. What do you all do?
Wait, he didn't get it. Melvin didn't get to say his quest. Wait, come back.
That's why I wanted to retcon to make Melvin first. So you all are
The
standing
new
there.
Nesty was too stunned to speak.
So he said that your wings, the ASMR, they are like someone named Ordelia Soth. And then he mentioned a bunch of other names and said they were marching toward the God Priest.
Yeah,
And you can all do history checks, actually. And then, of course, he brought up Sneak's great ancestor, who was also a Knight of the Rose, Jandin Deling.
that absolutely tracked. Willow is just completely stunned.
Yeah.
She just a second ago she was talking about her family, and now has given her friend PTSD.
We have to screenshot this. Sneak also got a natural one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love D&D. The two of you kind of referenced in this jumble got natural ones, because maybe you're stunned. You're both stunned. And Willow, it seems especially so.
Well, and this is news to me. All of this is news to me.
Right.
But very much stunned, not thinking, just standing up thinking, what did I just do?
Yeah, right. Shocked. I'm sure you're very shocked. We're not. You're just telling who you were, and sure, revealing that you're an Azamar is a big deal, and it's kind of a secret to you, sort of. But you guys trust Humaruth, so it makes sense that you shared all that. Melvin, with that check, you put together very easily, right, that the only god priest that ever existed was the one that led Istar to its downfall ultimately, because he was the final of they used to be called King Priest, but he called himself the God Priest. So if these heroes were marching toward the God Priest, that means they were there when the cataclysm directly happened. This was whatever happened here, the result was the cataclysm. So Melvin, you put that together quite easily, that this ancestor of Sneaks and all these other heroes, and you remember Lidara of the Flaming Sword, you remember Xanis Sarlamir, you remember maybe Sneak has mentioned Jandin to you all, possibly, but you put together that at least a Deling is associated with this. You don't know Solaria and you don't know Bing Scallion, besides that there may be a white dragon, and you definitely do not know Ordelia Soth. You do not know Ordelia Soth. You've never heard that name in your life. Except for the last name, of course. But the big thing, Melvin, is you definitely connect, like, these are people that marched toward the cataclysm, and Humruruth knew them. He did say Mama as well. And yeah, Melvin, you kind of put together that Humruruth was around at this critical moment in the history of Kryn. But you assume he was very small. He was very young. And Lyx with the 10, I'll say that you connect the cataclysm point. But that's it. You forget all these other heroes, possibly, unless you remember them as Abbey. I'll always honor you guys as you remembering a thing, unless you don't want to for roleplay.
I mean, I remember like 3 of the figures, so that makes sense for a 10.
Cool. So you know about as much as you would know as Abbey. General Rodan, like everyone kind of left after a while as you guys were kind of chatting about these quests, and General Rodan kind of comes out with some soldiers, and he's like, "Is Humruruth okay? What happened?"
No, I think he's dealing with something far older, a hurt with much more gravity than any of us could possibly imagine. Oh, poor Haruma, right?
Yeah, and as you look up, like you kind of see like lightning kind of shooting across in the clouds. Not, hitting the ground or anything, just kind of like that thundery thing. But I want you all to do insight checks actually, except for Willow. Because Willow, I want to see if your friends notice anything about you after hearing this. And you can do I'll let you decide, Willow, how you feel, and you can roll based on what that is. They didn't roll well though. Except for possibly Melvin.
So I'm sorry, what are my options for what I'm rolling?
So you could do a straight charisma check, you could do deception, you could do persuasion, kind of depending on how you feel. I'll let you decide what you think makes sense here. Or if you just are open to your friends and just talk.
Yeah, no, I think I'll just be open in this case. She's really stunned, obviously doesn't know exactly what she said to cause this, and obviously had no idea that this would be the outcome. But I think she's just really stuck on the Ordelia soft part, because that's what he said was a connection to her specifically, and the rest kind of kept following after. And I honestly think that with everything that's happened that day, being exhausted, already having talked through several things with people, I think she's just gonna kind of not fall to the floor, but like fall to sitting and just, you guys heard him say soft, right? That wasn't just me imagining things.
Yes.
Well, I was afraid of that, but glad to know I'm not totally crazy. Maybe.
It was all you guys, yeah.
Okay, well then I guess Melvin will give her a hug.
I think she's sitting down, so I think she'll kind of like lean into the hug a little bit, not really able to do much else.
Lyx is just overloaded, information overload, and a little bit like brain breaking, trying to understand what's happening. But I'll sit at the table where everyone's at and just kind of like avoid making eye contact with anyone.
Oh no, she's just sitting on the ground. We were like talking in an open area. I'm just fully sitting on the ground, like probably knees to chest, holding my
Okay.
legs.
Yeah, I'll sit on the floor.
Sneak will say, "Hi, bye, mister," like waving up at the sky, like at Hurmuruth, and he'll just like sit down too, and then just like leave it at that.
Sneak, you actually realized that your great ancestor was there at the Cataclysm. That's pretty big news to you too.
Yeah, I'm gonna just be like, okay, bye.
I almost feel like that's like a beautiful scene.
Cool. Yeah, so the camera zooms out as the heroes sit quietly, reflecting on quite the day. They've had many quite the days since they've known each other, but this is probably up there. Big old battle, slaying a dragon for the first time, meeting an old friend again, fighting bravely alongside this friend, and realizing that he is a child of the Cataclysm, it sounds like. That Humruruth the Valiant, your friend, was a child, it sounds like, during this period where the world ended. Remember, the Cataclysm was so bad and so devastating that it restarted Kryn, basically. You guys are in the year 315 AC. So the Cataclysm happened over 300 years ago. So now you guys kind of know around Humruruth's age, and you know that he knows a good amount of that kind of brigade of heroes that you guys have heard of that marched to defeat the Istarian Empire, right?
I also know that he likes to run away like a little baby.
You won't say that to his face, though.
You're right.
I guess that's the scene. And then you guys go to bed, I guess. Unless anything else happens in this night. Is there anything anyone wants to do before sleepy time?
I guess I can just kind of retrofit mine in there. Like, great action. Loved that. I loved every minute of that.
Yeah, maybe you share with your friends right now. Maybe that's the way to break the ice.
Mm-mm.
No? Okay.
Sneak would ask me like, dude, that dude didn't even get to tell you what. I want to know, what's your quest, Melvin?
Love it. Thank you, Sneak.
So I think Melvin's looking up at the sky, really. They're in the Underdark and Gorgerhannes. You don't often see the stars. So that's something that Melvin's really started to appreciate about living on the surface and on Ansalon. And so he's kind of just looking up, and he hears Sneak, and he says, if I had to say, I think, aside from, the war and stuff, obviously, and he's still kind of like dreamy, kind of like looking up, kind of swaying. I think I'd like to, make the world a more beautiful place. I'd like to be somewhere where the epic stories are being told. When I see these cycles, the world seems to work on these crazy cycles, and many of these roads that we traverse together seem to be repeated from generation to generation, from hero to hero to hero. And I can't help but feel that we're on the precipice of another one of those stories. And I think that's probably the most confident Melvin's ever like really articulated what he wants for his life. And right now he's just kind of looking up and in this space with all of them, maybe before that part with Willow, he really just sort of felt kind of limitless and open and feeling maybe more sure of himself, which maybe prompted Willow to not be so sure of herself, which made her spiral into the thing about an Asimar, which then made her rumor Ruth go like, sound good?
You're gonna
Love it.
write the next great epic ballad. Hell yeah, brother.
Thanks, Steve.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. Anything else before you all go to bed?
Out of character, who the fuck is Odelia motherfucking Soft? God damn it. Okay.
Or Delia.
Or Delia.
Yeah.
Or Delia.
Right. All the other names are known except for Solaria.
Is Solaria mama?
That would be too hard to, I mean, possibly. But he seems gone. He seems like, I don't know if anyone waits for a bit or stays up for a little bit, but it doesn't seem like Humru's coming back. Oh, I wasn't expecting this at all, just so you all know. I was not expecting this at all.
One of us is gonna need to learn to speak bird so we can chat with her Murith since he runs away so much.
I don't know that she's necessarily waiting, but I think it takes a really long time for Willow to leave that spot. I think she kind of lets everybody else go to continue to mentally spiral all by herself, as she is wont to do. Yeah, I think eventually she'll kind of look up at the sky, see that there's no signs of anything. It's probably a very clear night again. And eventually just the exhaustion of the day will take her. I don't even know if she goes to bed. She might just pass out on the floor.
Yeah, in spite of the emotions, you guys are so kind of beaten and exhausted. You guys actually do have those 2 points of exhaustion still. You would, the second you try to sleep, it just happens. Awesome. Alrighty. Well, I wasn't expecting that. But I'm very happy it happened. Cool. I feel like I had to honor the natural 20. I had to honor what Willow was saying, and I had to honor my story, my part of the story and our story. Well, it's daytime. What do you guys do? You guys wake up in Wheel Watch Outpost.
I'll help with breakfast. I'll help make breakfast.
Okay.
Sneak has a few plans he'd like to do. Just a few things. I would like to get back into town, and I'd like to sharpen my monster kit, and I'd like to sharpen my shot claw. I would like someone to craft armor out of these scales that we got, because I have yet to have any armor. I've had the same old armor the whole time, dude. I need something, dude. I'd like to purchase more arrows so I could continue to shoot. I've been taking them away. Like, I don't take them away very well, but like, I'll take away 5 after a while or something, you know? Like, I'm like, I probably didn't get them back. I'll take away 5, you know?
Yeah, with arrows, it's like, I assume you pick up like most of them, but if they get lost, then they're lost. Yeah.
Yeah,
I appreciate you doing it for the thematic nature.
Yeah. So I'll go buy me some more arrows. I'd also like to buy some poison for set arrows.
So we're not quite in town yet, obviously, unless you all want to head straight there. But go ahead and say breakfast. Say your shit is sharpened just for the hell of it, just for cleanliness. But we'll do the other stuff. We'll probably have to do some exploring and go to places and stuff.
Heard.
But yeah, your shit's sharpened. Although we'll say, like, don't cheat. It's not sharpened until you get to Calaman, but you can mark down that it's sharpened. Cool. Brecky waking up. General Rodan, I don't know if anyone approaches him. He's kind of like hanging out in the middle of the courtyard. If any of you talk to him, and if not, if no one talks to him, he does tell Darrett that some of the forces should head back and just kind of share what has happened here in this battle that hasn't been named yet. But he's going to stick with a good amount of people still to protect Wheel Watch and keep this area claimed for Calaman.
I think Melvin would like to request, and we did lose Ponyta, if there's a horse that can be spared to help us get back.
Yes, of course. We have many fine steeds. You can take one, Melvin. Of course. And actually, Lord Bacaris. Are you alone, Melvin? Is anyone with Melvin? I'm going to say Melvin's alone. He's just here with General Rodan. And Lord Bacaris sneaks up on you, Melvin. He's like, sorry, Melvin. He looks like, and he kind of looks like himself, except like he didn't sleep, really. He says, I'm a little scared of your other friends, but I felt I could tell you this. If the Bronze Bombers could find my son, If you find him alive, I will reward you all handsomely. I'm willing to give at least 10,000 gold for finding my son and bringing him to me alive, but I'm sure I could give you more.
What?
I need to be a better dad.
Well, I guess the best way to make sure you can be a better dad is to still make sure we find him. I'll take it under advisement. I can't say that we'll take the job, but
I don't expect you all to run around in the lands and find him, but if on your adventures, if on your missions, you hear any word or hear any tell of him or find him, then please, I will make this a reward, obviously, at large for whomever bounty hunter or mercenary wants to take it on, but I thought I'd tell you all first.
be careful. I've heard tales of lots of young heirs who've been ransomed, but maybe they don't bring back their quarry alive. Be careful who you trust, Vicaris. And I think Melvin's gonna walk out.
He's like, I'll think on that. Thank you. And then he kind of like does like a bow, like look of respect, something he's never ever done to anyone. And then he kind of like shuffles away.
Sweet.
So
I
now
got my horse.
you got the horse, and you guys, and you know of this potential to get money and help Lord Baccharis if you all wish. Cool. So I added that into your quest on here as an optional thing. Okay. So what do you all do then? Are you guys just heading straight to Calaman then? What's the plan?
I will say that, like, Willow is not typically like a super bubbly, outgoing person, but this morning she is notably more quiet and reserved than she normally is. She'll occasionally do like small talk if approached, but otherwise is just very quiet and to herself.
Melvin might notice it with the previous insight check. He might notice that you're a little more reserved, and he can act on it if he wishes.
I was planning on checking on Willow because I didn't really the night before, but it doesn't have to be anything major. Just a little walk up to you, little shoulder squeeze. How are you feeling?
Really not great.
What are you, I don't know, like, are you fearful?
I mean, a little bit. I never really questioned if this could be bad before. I mean, it just kind of came out in a time where I really needed it, and I've used it for good things since. And now the first thing that he said when I told him what I'm finding myself out to be, he mentioned somebody by the name of Soft. And we know that's about as evil as you can get. So I'm processing. Not well.
Yeah, it kind of sucks being tethered to demonic beings.
Yeah, I'll definitely come to you when I've thought this through more, because this is new to me. I'm kind of terrified. I don't want to use my wings. I don't really want to do anything at the moment until I can kind of figure out, at least look up this person, because we've never heard of this person before.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I appreciate that I can come to you about it, and I will when I'm ready. Thank you.
I guess I just want to assure you that you're still the same person you were 2 days ago, and you're still that person that grabs pressed flowers and stores them, that there's not just one piece that defines you.
I think you see her start to like physically relax. Not a lot, but like more than you've seen since the incident happened. Yeah, I'm still my parents' kid, the ones that raised me, the ones that were actually my parents. Thank you. I needed that. I really needed that.
Thank you for always having my back.
Of course.
Did you eat your breakfast?
She'll just sheepishly go to get food.
Love it. And in fact, Abbey, you already have inspiration, I think. So Willow, inspiration. Awesome stuff. Thank you for rolling with the punches so well. You guys are getting so good at roleplay. This is so fucking fun for me. Oh man, I'm just smiling over here. I'm just smiling like a goofball. All right, what do you guys want to do? So Sneak said what he wants to do. Do you guys just want to rush to Calaman? It's free reign. Whatever the hell you guys want to do. If that's the objective, then we can definitely do that.
At some point, a Melvin has to report to the black robes, the white robes, the red robes.
Yeah, the lunar enforcers. Yeah, you have a month, so you still have like 3 weeks.
It's not something that he's not aware of. And I think he's going to express that anxiety on the ride back. That
Cool.
He is sort of anxious about that.
So you guys are taking off. You're heading out and going back. Garrett will join you in a platoon of some soldiers. Some soldiers will be going back with you all. Lord Bracaris is obviously coming back, and he kind of plans on giving the report and doing his last thing as general because he wants to renounce his.
I have
He wants to kind of be honest with his actions and say that it was his fault that everything happened, even though I guess it kind of turned out as a victory. Cool. So you all are galloping back again throughout the beautiful Cletar Midlands, lots of prairies, the crazy mountains of the Dargard. Mountains are on the, in front of you all to the east. And then you guys are leaving kind of where the Caucasus Canyon-y, more tall, massive mountain range with the volcano at the center, leaving that area, leaving Steel Springs where all the water and rivers were, where you guys fought E-Shark, passing by familiar things like the really cool statue, the giant statue with the waterfall, Huma Dragonbane, passing by the God Priest Hand. Maybe you guys take breaks at some of these places. This is like an 8+ hour ride still. Melvin and I'm guessing Sneak, you're on a new horse that you guys can name and explain how they look if you wish. You all make it to the out.
During the breaks that we take on the ride, can we look
Yep.
for lunar lilies or?
You can do whatever you want. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll
I
say
think Willow
that
kind of mentions, Nestra, and we talk a little bit about Alice's potion. And it says that the lunar lilies are rumored in the Moonlight Hills between the Crescent Moon Lake and Darkguard Mountains. So do we pass that on the way?
Yes, you're quite close to that. Where the fuck did it go? Oh, there it is. In fact, it's very close to this on roll 20. So we'll say like this is kind of where
nice.
you stop. This is the Huma Dragonbane statue again. You guys kind of let your horses get some water. Darrett's with you. A bunch of soldiers are with you all. Been relatively peaceful. You guys have seen deer and lots of wild horses again, kind of like last time. Like really fucking, I don't know, Chevy pickup truck commercial with fucking horses in the background for some reason, crossing these beautiful mountainscapes and prairies and shit. So Lyx, how do you do this? You're gonna kind of just go look for them?
Well, I was gonna say, I feel like maybe does Willow have advantage because they are a flower collector?
Sure. In fact, Willow, you would know. Actually, do an advantage nature check, Willow.
I might also say, since I'm pretty not bad at survival, can I maybe do a round? She might say it. I'd be like,
Yeah.
I might to look around. Okay.
Oh yeah, you can
No,
help.
do
Yeah.
survival or
What are you trying to do? So Willow's recalling the flower right now, the lunar lily.
I would just say in a sense like of me being an outdoorist type of person, like maybe I would have seen something like that or like I might know the medicinal facts of it.
Okay. Yeah, you might need a helper because she didn't do good.
Okay.
Go ahead and do survival, actually, because I feel like that's what you would know more.
Yeah.
So, Willow, you know quite a bit about flowers, especially how to press them and especially how to turn them into cool shit. But this one evades you. This is a weird one, and it is kind of rare, so that makes a little bit of sense. With the survival though, Sneak, you're like, oh, lilies though. I mean, come on, they like shade. They like, they like some kind of like, a little bit of windy, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Let's go check out over there. That looks good enough. And you guys kind of like, so you do go out maybe 20-ish minutes from here, and you all make it to a clearing. You make it to a forest clearing where there's a nice canopy of stuff, and you can all do nature checks, including Willow. You can go again, and Willow, you can do it. Nah, actually, just do a normal one. Ooh, holy shit. Ooh, I have a good map for this. That was unexpected. Yay, vibes. Here we go. Boom. This is kind of exactly what I was imagining. So there you go. I don't have to describe it. And yeah, you guys kind of make it to like a clearing like this, nice canopy, a little bit of sunlight bursting through, and there is a lot of green foliage around. And Sneak, Melvin, for some reason you are aware of this flower, it seems, because you, Sneak and Melvin, you somehow remember like maybe like seeing the foliage, so seeing the leaves of it and stuff and the stem. You know that this lily shines brightest in the moonlight, so the flower is actually like almost two-dimensional flat right now. You can't even see it. It's like invisible almost in the daylight. But if you look at it from the right angle, you can barely see almost what looks like this weird like 2D white line. And you know that it's truly shines and looks more spectacular at night. But these are the lunar lilies. So you all get some? I guess you guys don't have a shovel. So I might ask, how do you do this? But we can also just say you get him.
Sneak. He's gonna switch over from his claw shot to his little knife thing,
Okay.
and he's gonna gently go up to a point and then try to like slice it off just at the direct point.
So from the roots?
Yeah,
Like at the bottom?
Yeah, like slice into the bottom of the roots.
Okay,
to, like,
yeah.
dig around the dirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're able to get some. And actually, it looks good, and then it immediately like wilts and looks really depressed and sad.
Womp womp.
But that is it. It
Does
just
it
looks
does it
dead.
appear to be not viable like what Alice would want? Can Melvin with that 15 know
Yeah,
whether
you would
this
know
is like
that.
a potion quality?
You look at her note, and I'll show it with you all, and it does say fresh plants with roots intact. So the plant has to somehow look good and bright still.
Okay. I
Yeah.
think I have an action.
Sure.
So I think
Oh yeah, and you guys long rested, by the way, so you're fully healed. You got all your shit back. You're not exhausted. Boom, 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 boom.
I think Melvin's gonna look and be like, "Can anybody else see Melvin? Like, who's here in the clearing? Is it just bronze burrs?"
I think it's bronze burrs. I don't think anyone else joined you all.
Okay. Yeah, Darren, your bronze burrs and bronze burrs affiliate. If you know, you know. Speaking of, if
I think
you know,
Derek
you
actually
know.
would have. Derek actually really wanted to enjoy the human dragonbane statue. So unless you guys beg him to come with you, he kind of wants to just chill at the waterfall.
That's fun.
Okay.
I'm gonna spin on my heel, turn on into Melodia to activate Levitate.
Okay.
So, with Levitate, one creature or object with your choice rises vertically up to 20 feet and remains suspended there for the duration. This spell can levitate a target that weighs up to 500 pounds.
Okay.
So, let's.
The lilies actually weigh 501 pounds.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay. So what are you trying to do?
Like, levitate them or coax them out of their, like, little.
Are you trying to keep the earth intact around them? What do you, or are you just trying to take them?
Yeah, like kind of that. Like,
Okay. So you do that. How many objects can you do it with?
one creature or object of your choice rises vertically up to 20 feet and remains suspended there.
I'll let you do, since you can do a creature, I'll let you do like 3 of them with compact dirt.
I'll open the bag of holding.
They look happy. They look happy right now. Are you throwing them in the bag of holding?
Sure.
Will
and
they
because
die in the bag of holding? I don't think there's air
The bag
in
of
there.
it does not have oxygen,
Maybe not.
or it has limited oxygen. I believe if you go into it, you have 10 minutes to live in there.
let's
We don't
see.
have
Is it
Or
concentration?
anything.
Yep, up to 10 minutes.
Oh shit. Okay.
For context, how big are these? Are these like tiny plants? Are
They're
they
pretty
like
small. They're quite small. So right now it's like the dirt part of it is like 5 inches. That's like the base.
Okay.
And then it goes
That's-
down maybe 5-ish inches, 5-6 inches for the roots. And the stem's a little taller, but not much more. So it's
think-
actually quite easy for Melodia to handle 3 of them.
I think while they're doing that, the thing says at least 3, so I want to get some extra if we can. Willow is like super carefully trying to like dig out around very gently, making sure the roots stay intact. At least 1 more, hopefully 2. We'll see.
Okay, it seems okay if you're keeping the like dirt intact. Yeah.
Yeah.
But these do seem quite delicate. Okay, what's the plan to get them on horses and get them out of here?
Can they fit in my cook pot and I can hold the cook pot?
Yeah.
Or something. What about in the back of my hood? Would that
You
work
guys
there?
choose. You guys choose. You want Sneak's hood
Let's
or
do
you
your-
want a cook pot?
Let's do a
Melodia,
pot.
Melodia literally looks at Sneak
Yeah,
and just levitates it down into
Get the pot.
like Lyx's like pot. Like, absolutely doesn't even like break eye contact with Sneak. Melodia's sticky.
Willow will take
Just
1
trying to be helpful.
and hand it to Sneak and put the other also in the pot. So we have 4 safe, but Sneak also feels included.
So Willow slaps one into Sneak's hoodie. So Sneak, you got one. You got a cute little one hanging out.
I'm gonna
Cool.
talk to it the whole time too.
Nice.
It's not making it back to Callum.
Okay, so it actually is the cooking pot is working remarkably well and is keeping them, and like maybe you guys, I'm guessing you add a little more soil to like fill it in and keep it more intact, but they look happy. So ta-da! You guys solved the lunar lilies puzzle and you guys have some lunar lilies. Perfect. What else do you guys do now? Are you booking it to Calaman, or is there anything else you guys want to do out here in the wilds?
The cursor isn't out there like as we look left and right, is he? Okay. No?
Perception checks. This is a dice rolling game. Let's do it. So with that 21 licks, high up on a hill, you see a pike with Bakar's. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. That's so fucked up. So no, 21, 16. Yeah, with the 21 licks, you do notice weird kind of prints on the ground, actually, of pretty big footprints of something with claws. It
Do they
seems.
look like dragon prints?
No, no, no. This looks more like a large mammal, possibly, or maybe a, lion-sized reptile creature, possibly, but it seems more like mammalian furry thing.
Okay, so you got a manticore on the loose.
Possibly. Yeah, it's something like that. It does seem like it's footprints of something like that around, and it is quite a few actually. They're scattered. It looks like it's multiple around. It's like one trail here, another one there, tracks. So it doesn't
I feel
seem like
like
one.
with like maybe like Sneak has this knowledge of nature. So I'll point that out to Sneak like, "Oh, do you know these like have you seen these kind of tracks before?"
Do a survival check, Sneak.
I'm so
And,
glad you asked that. I was literally thinking that. I was like, you should ask me, dude.
and Willow
I
Willow
got
with
you.
the 16 Willow, you do actually look at the Dargard Mountains for some reason, and you just feel bad and cold. Just thinking about that place and knowing that somewhere in there is where Soth lives, apparently.
Sorry to
And
interrupt. Did you want me to do nature?
survival.
Survival. Heard.
Yeah. So survival's kind of like tracks and like
Oh, not
navigating the
good.
outdoors.
Not very good.
Yeah, you're like it's definitely not an owl bear, and it's not a reptilian creature. It's some kind of big mammal thing. That's the best you can get, but you can't quite pinpoint what it is.
Well,
There's no way in hell it's a dragon or reptile thing or demon, probably.
if there's nothing more, maybe we want to get out of here because I don't really want to fight a giant mammal.
Cool. So, do you guys book it to Calaman? Anything else you guys want to do out here in the wilds, or just out of here?
Maybe can I find maybe can I do a quick hunt? Like maybe I could look for like a deer or an elk or
Yeah.
something that's not gonna fuck me up, but I can fuck it up.
Yeah, for like food or whatever purposes you want. Yeah, we'll say that there's like one more break that you guys take before the final like shoo to Calaman. So you're kind of on the outskirts now of the Calaman forest actually. And I'll need you to do actually this is cool. This is cool. I like that you're doing this. Go ahead. Does anyone join Sneak on this hunt? Just Sneak?
Certainly not. Melvin is not a hunter. No.
Makes sense. Just love that response.
I think Willow will tag along
Okay.
to make sure he doesn't get himself in too much trouble.
Okay, so you're not really like trying to hunt, you're just like there to make sure he's okay. Okay,
Lyx
cool.
and Melvin go to smoke wacky tobacco.
Perfect. All right, do a survival check, my friend. You're tracking some probably deer, but you're seeing what game. Depending on your roll, we'll see what game. What the fuck? Holy shit. God damn. Okay. All right. This is what happens, ladies and germs. Fuck. Fuck, fuck, fuck. Okay. So Sneak, just can you like narrate like you find something good. You find the trail of something pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I imagine like just kind of as that last thing happened, we did all I forgot already. Anyways, so as everything's happening, I just kind of like happen to hear like a deer running through the forest, like an elk or something running through the forest. So my ears perk up and I just like stand up real quick and I just kind of take off real quick in the forest. Willow follows after me. All of a sudden, I'm like zipping around in the shadows and I hear it, and then all of a sudden I see it and it's right there, and I just load my crossbow up. And do I get
Okay.
it? Do I have to roll the hit or do I just already get it?
Roll to hit, actually.
Okay, roll the hit. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So your arrow goes
Right through the neck, dude. Just
right through
goes
the neck
down.
of that deer. Gets it
Mhm.
pretty good.
Oh yeah, I'm like
Um,
hell yeah, and I celebrate, and I like want to go up to it, and I want to get I want to like try to just gut it real quick, try to get some meat and the hide
Yeah.
and the
So
horse
so
as much as
you're
I
pretty,
can.
yeah, you're pretty far away when you land this awesome shot. And as you are approaching it, all of a sudden you hear this. As all of a sudden a giant owl bear rushes out of the woods, goes onto the prey on the deer that you just shot at, and starts going to town on it, ripping it apart. What do you guys
Son
do?
of a bitch.
What do you guys do as suddenly the very high survival check you found led you to 2 valuable prey? What happens?
I should probably turn around and dip out. I'm there. Well, fuck it, dude. Turn around and leave, dude.
You're gonna leave it in peace?
I'm gonna just leave it alone, dude. I don't want to mess with it.
Suddenly you
dude.
hear, as you're thinking of that, you hear whistles as riders on horses come out with scimitars on their sides, but bow and arrows, as they start shooting and shooting at the owl bear. And one of them comes out black veiled on a giant stag and kind of looks at you and like kind of does a point, doing this weird thing that you don't really understand, but you kind of think like maybe they want you to help and that you can like share. And Willow, you immediately realize this is the Finn Mascar. This is them hunting. They've appeared all of a sudden out here hunting in the woods. So these are the Astarian people that you met before, and this must be their leader who is on a giant stag. What do you guys do? Do you guys help out?
Yeah, I'd probably get the vibes. I'd be like, oh shit, okay, hi, what's up, dude?
Okay. But why are you attacking? By help out, I mean, are you attacking this owl bear?
Holly will have to put aside her love of owl bears, and Willow will join the fight.
Cool.
So she's gonna start to see where they're shooting so she doesn't step in front of an arrow, but try to close the distance.
Cool. Yep. So
Also, at this time, I think Sneak is gonna switch from his claw shot to his, I mean, back to his claw shot.
Right. Okay, so I'll give you each, just, this isn't going to be a full combat because you have a lot of help. Just do a roll to hit or whatever you want. You guys get each one thing that you can do, basically.
I'm going to try to claw shot my elk and then bring it back to me.
Okay, do that. Roll the hit to do that. And then
Just
do it.
crossbow gauntlet roll to hit.
Yeah. At advantage because it's dead. You natural 20'd it. So somehow, like you use the horse, like you use the horse that you're on to like I guess Spitfire. Spitfire helps you out. It's strong enough to grab the elk, pull it back. And it works. It somehow works as the Finn Mascar like cheering you on as the leader. Actually, Willow, unless you're gonna do something to attack the owl bear, but you don't have to if you don't want to. If that's not Willow's thing.
I was gonna start swinging, but if I see a claw shot go in front of me, I might slow down.
I mean, you see that happen. Yeah, you do see Sneak do the unbelievable, basically. Scorpion, his prey. Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, his prey. If you don't do anything, then the leader suddenly kind of pulls a Sneak, is on their stag, which is a giant, male deer, basically, starts climbing onto its head, hops off of its stag onto the owl bear, and stabs into the owl bear's throat, kind of like whispering in its ear or something, and then the owl bear's kind of like flailing arrows all over it and falls. As suddenly you hear Salim, who is the little young Finn Mascar that you met, Willow, who speaks common. He kind of pokes out of the bushes and he's like, oh, hi, yes, we did it. Woohoo! I helped a lot. I heard it too. You saw that, right, Willow? As he's kind of like, he's that little boy that wants to be like a great warrior or whatever. And
yeah, totally, dude. I saw you kneecap it. You got this.
yeah, and he's like, that was amazing by Sneak over there too. And then the leader, who looks to be like a feminine person, long hair, you can't see their face because it's actually this strange, beautiful black veil in front, but they have really cool hunter garb on. They kind of speak to Salim in Istarian, and then Salim lets you all know that you guys can have some of the owl bear parts if you all desire, since you helped find it. And the chief says that the owl bear will feed its people for quite some time.
I'm gonna tell him to be like, I'm like while cutting this elk up right now, like halfway in the middle. I'm like, nah, dude, you got the owl bear. I just want this guy, and then I'll leave it there.
And then he looks at you, Willow. Do you covet owl bear parts or need meat for the travels? So you just saw this tribe take down this owl bear with relative ease.
Yeah, so I think we're set on meat. Sneak took care of that. In fact, if you guys need more, I'm sure Sneak will be able to share a little bit. We are actually currently on a quest for some items. I hate to ask this, you wouldn't happen to have any white opal or tears from a Solinari touched being? I know this is quite a leap, but you never know.
Yeah, he looks at you like, he tries to be like confident. He's like, We Finmask are excellent gatherers and hunters. And then he kind of like, you can hear that it's definitely a questioning tone of like unsureness in his Astarian language, talking to the chief and to some of the other hunters and stuff. And then a hunter actually approaches you and shows white opal. But then he like does that. And then Salim says, he's saying he'll trade. What are you willing to offer? It is a valuable gem.
I would like to maybe say if we could get it at a discount since we helped you kill the owl bear. But I will pay. We'll pay. I'll help trade. I'll give you gold.
I was going to ask what would they deem a fair trade. I don't know what is more valuable to your people.
We don't care too much about gold, although it means something. We normally live off the land, so most treasures that we find off of the land itself is what we covet, or amongst the creatures we hunt and fish for.
What about an Astarian single-gemmed Shimtar?
What? And his ears perk up at that. Are you serious? Is this real?
I do have one in the bag of holding.
Can you show it to
They
us,
are very
please?
real. They'd attack us.
I'll pull it out.
I know that sounds crazy.
And then Salim's like, yes, Professor Zark said the ghost. He told us about the ghost that you all fought. So you show this. And then they go, oh, like all of them actually are taken aback. And the chief actually comes to you immediately and asks the soldier, the other warrior, for the opal. And then the chief gives you, Sneak, a longbow of silence. A longbow of silence with beautiful carvings on it. There's beautiful carvings on this longbow. On the wooden part of it, it's all made out of wood. Really beautiful like decorations of deers and stags on the bow itself. And this is a weapon, Sneak, that it's kind of similar to, it's a ranged thing that shoots arrows, but it's long arrows and it makes no sound. So it makes no sound. When you draw it back, it's crafted so perfectly, there's no sound. And even the arrows are so quick, it's almost like they make no noise. So you have a longbow of silence. Is that what I called it? Fuck. Yeah. So they're offering that for the scimitar, the white opal and this longbow. That's how highly valuable the scimitar is to them. And Salim says, this is a relic of our ancient history. We would offer you these two items.
Wow, I'm very blessed. What do you think, Willow? Is that a fair deal?
Absolutely. Win-win. We return something precious to them and we get something that helps Nestra 100%.
Let's do it. All right. Yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah. So then the chief gives you this stuff and then she kind of does a like a prayer thing, like bowing to you all. And Salim says, oh yeah, we decided we'll live around Kalaman, but just out here in the woods. We didn't really like the city much, but it does beat being surrounded by horrible blue dragons. And then he says, Professor Zark does love the city though, and he did say he'll help you with any kind of research you all need if you need a mytho-historian to help you. So yeah, and the chief's kind of like talking to him. If you guys ever need help with hunting things, we can help with that too. And then he says, I can help with that too. And he kind of like stamps his like pole onto the ground all confidently. So now you guys have a way to get animal parts potentially in hunting. And you guys have made some good relations here with the Finn Mascar.
So from the rest of this elk, can I take some badly cut meat and antlers, and that's it?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep. You can have elk antlers and poorly cut meat, but it's good enough. It's just, whoever.
It's edible, but just bad cut.
Yeah, exactly. It's good meat, but it's just terrible cuts. So whoever has to cook it has to work with it a little more.
I'm gonna put that in the bag of holding too. I'm also gonna put this the longbow of silence in the bag of holding, though I may also use it.
Yep. So that requires 2 hands, and you might need to buy arrows for that, which I guess we could research what that looks like. But basically, that's a super sneaky weapon.
I like to imagine that when we get back to the others, I'm just like, we ran into an owlbear, everything's fine, and we got an opal out of it.
There you
go.
This
is why I follow Sneak everywhere.
Awesome stuff. So you guys just need one more thing for the Nestra quest. That's amazing. Awesome. I do want to honor Melvin and Lyx. Do you guys do anything while all that was happening, or do you guys just want to push ahead to the group stuff?
We were just getting high and eating snacks. I mean,
You
Not
chilling?
much to report.
Cool. So yeah, you guys get back to Calaman, bustling Calaman. You make it to the gates. They let you in. Lord Bakaris says that he'll handle talking to the higher ups with Darrett and some other soldiers unless you all want to do that. But he does say that you should probably report at some point just to receive your promotions and rewards and stuff. What do you guys do? So you guys gonna go, yeah, it's free, it's open. So you guys are back in the big old city of Calaman. It's probably like late afternoon at this point, almost sunset time.
I think we should report, and so we can just like get, check in and immediately go about our business and go the fuck home.
So then you guys actually join Lord Bakaris and Darrett, and just for the sake of time, you guys probably share everything, I'm guessing, for the most part, at least about the battle and about the specifics of the militaries clashing. Yeah, Lord Bakaris does say that he no longer thinks he is fit to serve as general. And Commander Gaius kind of looks at him and says, "It sounds like this was a victory, Lord Bakaris, even though you did lead to the destruction of some of our forces." And then Lord Bakaris is like, "It was because of Darrett asking for help from the Bronze Bombers, and then this Humruruth the Valiant came in, and General Rodan. It was not me. All these others made good of a terrible situation." Commander Gaius looks at you all and says, "Is this true?" "Very well, then. Then I will accept your resignation, Lord Bakaris. But we won't seek any further punishment. We cannot waste resources on such a thing. And we will make it known to the soldiers of Calaman of the missing from the battlefield, including your son." So he kind of like talks about others that are missing as well. And then he says to you all, he looks at you all and says, "Well then, I believe this is fair compensation along the lines of what Nestor could offer. Please understand our resources are quite slim right now." But he gives you each 200 gold to add on to all the other spoils that you guys got. And then he also goes ahead and takes off your badges and gives you a new promotion. And I think you guys are all, what the hell's after lieutenant? I don't know. Lieutenant colonels? Does that sound cool? Lieutenant colonels. Boom. Which comes with a 15% off the military store. That's it. But you guys can now command platoons. You guys can command a small platoon if you
How
so
many people
desire.
are in a platoon?
That's a great question. Let's say with all of you, you'd have to work as the Bronze Bombers. You guys could command like 10 people. 10. That's something. Okay, and I updated the weird military benefits thing I have for you all. Cool. Okay, so what are we doing? You guys reported. Is there anything actually that you like desperately want to talk about with Commander Gaius and the war effort? He's pretty shocked that it went so well, and he does talk about like it sounds like General Rodan would need a promotion as well. And he says that he would love to meet this Humruruth the Valiant. He does kind of question that, but you guys don't have to talk about him if you don't want to. If not, it's still free. It's still free. This is a loosey-goosey session. You guys can go, I don't know, turn in your shit, get treasure, or talk to the commander more.
It certainly doesn't have to be the thing we do next, but Willow is very much looking forward to going home and just getting shit-faced.
Oh, shit.
It's been a few days.
You can do that. It's about that time. It's about that shit-facing time.
I definitely want to try to make some armor out of that red dragon scale we got, and I want weapons. I want some arrows.
Cool.
and some
I think
sharpens.
for the sake of time, just in the session, we will honor that, Colton. But maybe the stores are kind of closed at this point, actually. So it might be next morning thing. So maybe we just end on whatever the hell you guys want to do right now in these next 10, 15 minutes. So it sounds like Willow wants to get shit-faced.
Willow will
I'm-
also tag along. She wants to add either like a big chest plate of just one big scale or 2 side pauldrons. So not like full plate, just more decoration, honestly.
I think we could actually take care of some of this outside of session.
Yeah.
So you guys can kind of brainstorm what you're thinking of and be a little specific to me. And then I do have, I think I know where you guys can go to get this done. So as long as it's not too crazy, I'll come up with all you got to do is pick the armor you want to upgrade. So have the armor you want to do this to and kind of tell me what parts you want to use. And then I'll go from there. And you guys can do whatever you want with those.
Remembering the gold that I paid you to upgrade their things. I know you don't remember it, but I do because I got my gold inventory.
Where did you upgrade their armor?
Remember when we were talking about, if I buy them X number of gold You can upgrade their armor, blah, 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 with decoration and shit.
Oh, the embroiderment and stuff. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. This would be a perfect time. Yeah, actually, I really, maybe next session, you guys can really we can have down the designs of your armor and like how you guys look right now, most up to date. Yes, that I remember. You do know of Melvin kind of researching this and learning it on your own. You do know of, it's not, I guess it's rumors, but it is a store of the Hammerstrike Forges. Melvin, you've heard of the Hammerstrike Forges, kind of near Whitehand's Apothecary. I'm gonna ping it on the map. We're all on the map, I think. Yes. You've heard that there is a dwarven forge blacksmith named Cadmos Hammerstrike, and he's kind of known for upgrading armor, but more specifically helping add flourish to them if you want. But you can also do it, Melvin. You can design, you can be the designer, but he's also kind of into that. And he's actually the one who added the green embroiderments to Humruruth's armor. Yep. So maybe next session we'll go there, or we can say hi to them now if you guys want. Okay. Willow, how do you get shit-faced? Does anyone join Willow?
100%.
I will say everyone is welcome.
Yeah, I'm totally getting fucking down, dude.
Duh.
So yeah, this is a
peer
whole
pressure
day.
Melvin into performing at the bar.
I'm always trying to make that money.
Cool.
Well,
So
I was
you
talking
guys.
about getting shit faced at home, but we can pregame.
Ha!
Just night out on the town, it looks like.
We could just stay at home and just have a drunk karaoke session.
Oh, that also we could not spend a dime. We could get drunk at home for free. But we could also make money in the streets. But maybe
That's
it's
fair.
just a family affair. What do you want to do, Willow?
Willow just wants to get shit faced in a safe place so we can start drinking outside, but she will not start getting drunk until we get back home.
So maybe you kind of do there's like some outdoor stands that kind of offer like fancy drinks and like little things. You don't maybe want to go into like a big tavern that might be more bustling and more voices and loud and stuff.
Exactly.
So maybe that kind of like Epcot, that Epcot vibe around the world a little bit, seeing the finer parts of Calaman and gallivanting around a bit. You guys see all kinds of peoples enjoying the night of Calaman as word starts to quickly spread of, did you hear the victory out in the Midlands? And blah, 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 blah. And it seems like word spreads quickly in the big city. And yeah, eventually you all make it home and I guess bought some alcohol. I'll say if you guys if someone spends 5 gold or if you pitch into 5 gold, I mean, that's enough to get schmasted for all of you. Boom. All right, someone did it. What does this look like? We could just end on this. You guys can end it all out.
While Melvin is joyously playing guitar, Sneak Sneak is on the shoulder of Willow, and we're singing zigga zagga zigga zagga oi 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 or something like that, or some sort of song. I don't know.
Sure, yeah, like clapping above your knee and under your thighs and shit, just doing weird ass shit, weird dances.
I can imagine when Melvin catches a drunk vibe, he's like absolutely burning it down on like drunk soul keys.
Oh.
Like piano bar style. Just like
Oh, hell yeah.
hammered, but like the kind like when you are fucked up at home and nobody like can tell you otherwise. You
Sweat
came
just
up
like
there.
Yeah, sweat just like dripping onto the keys, and head is almost like, your nose is like almost touching the goddamn keys themselves.
He's wishing he had some more trinkets.
Oh, thinking about trinkets.
Always.
Hell yeah.
Playing the blues for some trinkets.
That's hysterical. That could be a good song.
Yeah, and I'll just say, like, you guys have seen Willow like drink before, maybe get a little tipsy, but like she does not engage in like the heavy drinking. So this is a new side you guys are kind of seeing to her of
Whoa.
just out.
Okay, do a constitution check. All of you, whoever's heavy drinking, do constitution checks. Actually, do
I can't wait to
constitution.
roll back.
Sorry, do constitution saving throws. My bad. Do a constitution saving throw. There you go.
When it counts.
Wow. Wow. So Willow, you are getting obliterated and you feel it coming, but somehow you're like, no, you like slap your chest or something. Maybe you even waste a rage. Maybe you do something that stupid.
I'll burn a rage.
You do something that dumb and it's just like you're back locked in like some kind of crazy drunk barbarian robot, and you're good to go. And you're okay. You're okay. Maybe when you finally hit the pillow, like, yeah, your world is like rocking. But until that moment, you are good. You are totally good. Sneak, same with you pretty much. You might have a little bit of like the barf in the mouth for a moment. Yeah.
the foam from the beer came back up, and I just like kind
Yeah.
of spit it out. Yeah, but I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. You wash it down with more beer or maybe water or whatever. Melvin, you get a little puke. You get a little puke, Melvin, with that one. Just a little like, "Ugh, I'm good, guys. I'm good." Just one of those, you know? And Lyx, you're also quite good. You're also quite good as you all are enjoying the night after the big battle. A whole day has already passed, and you all are back at home enjoying the evening. People outside are celebrating as more soldiers are coming out and celebrating, and all is good for now.
I think Sneak is gonna be laying out in the garden by his hut, like, his bare feet out, just like laying back, drunk, like thinking, yeah, it was a good night to a good battle.
Nice, just feet touching the soil. Garden looks good.
I think Willow's gonna grab Melvin and Lyx and just go, I love him too, but I really love you guys. Like, this is great. I'm having a great time.
Oh shit, I want to keep this going now. What else happens?
I love you too, buddy. I mean, come on. You're awesome.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm getting there.
Best friends, go best friend. Best friends, go best.
Melvin's
gotta get
clearly the
a-
most gone.
We gotta get a chant going.
Where's the wacky
Dragon
tobacco?
Slayers.
Oh, yeah, that one works better, I think. That one's way better.
I mean, that's kind of bars. Where's the wacky tobacco? That could be a rap.
No, where's the wacky tobacco? Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer. Where's the wacky tobacco? Dragon Slayer.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
He's doing some like sick, nasty gnome flute solos with the gnome flute, tearing it up.
Yeah,
Kinda
like
an opera.
Some Lizzo shit. There we go. Some more funny shit happens. Pretty good. Pretty good.
I imagine we pass out, the three of us, because Sneak's outside, just pass out in a cuddle pile on the couch, and that's where we fade to black for the evening.
Yeah, you fade to black, but then suddenly the black circle opens up and a hole just appears and sinks into the ground where you all are as you hear demons and screams, and you hear someone go, "Sneak, we're here. Is this what you wanted?" As you hear demons laughing everywhere, Sneak, and you see your friends get taken away from you, Sneak, immediately as you're falling and falling and falling down layers and layers of hell. You see all these people screaming. Eventually you make it to a part where it looks like there's just like weird muscles and body parts on different walls, and you're just falling and falling, kind of like Squidward, if you've seen that episode of SpongeBob where he's just like falling in this horrible endless loop. You just see a bunch of eyeballs at a certain point. You just keep falling and falling and falling and falling, and that was your horrible nightmare, Sneak.
I slept like a baby that night, dude. That was
You love that.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
Makes sense, and that's what we end on. All right. Good session to everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Some crazy shit did happen. So if you have any questions or reflections, please hit your boy up. We will play at some point soon, and I'll follow up with you guys with more stuff. But let's all get some real sleep.